There you go. Hey, Ianto. Say hi to the camera, Ianto. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the writing advice Q&A. Okay, I'll put you down now. Hello, everybody. Max here. Writing advice Q&A. I am. Oh my God, hair. Calm down. Calm down. Too anime. I am still at Kitty's place. My setup. This is not my setup. Bless you, Ianto. Gesundheit. Salud. This is not my setup. I'm somewhere else. The video is going to be a little bit on the short side, but we're going to have a fun conversation about reusing characters today. Before I go on anywhere, I want to let you know, before anything else, that I take questions from the comments and I feature them on videos like this one. So, if you have a question, leave it in the comments down below. And also, as I just sneakily check this text off screen, oh, that's important stuff. Oh, I should put it on Do Not Disturb. There we go. Additionally, the advice you're about to hear in this video is merely just my advice, my opinion, and what works for me. Don't take it as gospel, instead take it as the ramblings of a silly person who looks a little bit, or rather precisely like this. Alright, so, today, I received a question from a viewer, much like you, regarding the idea of reusing characters in different stories. The crux of this was regarding a failed story in which there was a character they really liked, and they didn't want to just drop everything that was in that story. Is it okay to reuse characters? And I'm going to be going over my personal experience, the idea of using characters from a failed story and characters from a not failed story. Let's go over all those paradigms, all of those facets of the question, and jump right in. So, the reason why I really like this question, and I felt that it came at a very timely time, I can't get my hair right today. I just can't. But it's fine, because it has nothing to do with this video. I am almost done with my current WIP, work in progress. This novel has been going on for forever. I think it's literally gonna be like 380 pages, which is great, because I generally write novellas. I love novellas. I love the novella format. And it's funny for me because I always joke about how I really like Steinbeck, and Steinbeck wrote a bunch of novellas, and then he wrote The Grapes of Wrath, and I'm just like, oh, I guess this is kind of like my Grapes of Wrath because it's just freaking huge. It's like 100 chapters! That doesn't happen! Raven's Gem is like 12 chapters, but anyhow, I am rambling. The reason why this question is very opportune for me right now is because I'm in the process of thinking of what I'm going to be working next. The story is wrapping up, I know where things are going, it's downhill from here, things are happening, and they're gonna happen, and the story's gonna end. It may go a couple extra chapters, because you know how things go, but the story's gonna end. It's going to end. And I'm thinking in the background, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? What am I doing next? Because you know me, as soon as that book is done, I'm going to start another one. Because you know me, what better way to kill time between now and revision than to write another book entirely? So, I was thinking, and back during October, November, there was, oh my God, hair, what are you doing? Anyhow, back during October, November, I was writing a story, and it seemed like a really nice idea at the time, and then the events of the last November unfolded, and I found that the story idea that I had was a little bit flawed, and it was hard to find inspiration for that particular story idea because of the events of the time, and I left that story idea behind. I actually wrote probably like 20,000 words of that story. They weren't very good words because it was the first draft after all, but I left it behind. I wasn't too happy with it, and I felt bad in the way that people feel bad, and writers feel bad when you drop a story, because you had all this excitement allocated for that story, and you cared about these characters, and you cared about the story, and you didn't just think about it, you actually wrote it, and I actually got to know them, and I felt extra bad because I'm like, oh, you have a really cool story. It's just the world you live in kind of sucks, and I don't mean sucks as in like, oh, it's bad. It sucks because it wasn't exciting to write in, and it was kind of a little bit on the nose for the current state of affairs, so it just wasn't for me to write. And I was thinking, just doing my morning walk a couple days ago, and I was like, I can't salvage that setting. I really can't salvage that setting. And I don't have to, because if you follow this channel, you know me. I love characters. Characters are at the center of the story for me. It's all about characters, baby. That's what it's at. So I thought to myself in the early hours of the morning, well, why don't I just take the cool character that I really like, her story, her background, and I drop her somewhere else. Somewhere else where it would still make sense. Somewhere else where her character struggle would still apply. Somewhere where I can still enjoy her as a person, regardless of the world she was living in. And it was that nice eureka moment. There you go. That's your still for the day. And it felt like a nice course of action. Now this brings us back to the main crux of the video. And the question, is it okay to reuse characters? Is there a negative facet to this? And I am not sure. I can't think of a negative large enough to counteract the reality that if you're excited to write about something, just write about that something. I know I have friends, and I know people who pretty much have had a core of characters they just use in every story, or they show up in different ways and forms, and I think that's freaking cool. I don't generally do that, because generally I come up with a character, then the world around them. So since I always begin with a new face, it's hard for me to just drop someone in. Now I'm rambling. Let me give you some solid advice. What is one downside of using a character that you have established in another setting? Baggage. Baggage is a particular problem. One of the things that I know that came up during my history of creative writing courses in college, was that there would be times when someone would present a piece of a story, or even a short story, and I wouldn't get the scope of the character's personality, or I would miss elements that were supposed to be like meaningful or important, because the person who wrote it knew the baggage. The person who wrote it knew the character's backstory, and they knew what they had done in other stories and other worlds. And they didn't think about reminding the reader or reintroducing it in this new story. So when, for instance, I didn't feel that the character was particularly heroic or particularly brave, we had a bit of a clash, because they thought the character was brave, because they've known that character forever. But I had no context for that. Now, the solution for this is actually super simple, and if you've been following my videos, you already know. What do? We let the reader know. We make things crystal clear. Clarity in writing is key. When the writing is clear, the reader is always aware, always clear on what is happening. If you are considering reusing a character from an older setting, from an older story, from that one RP you had a long time ago, and let's be real, we have all been there, grab these characters, and I think what you should be very aware of is that when you use a character from before, if you're brainstorming a story, you write them in as though they are a new character. As the same way you brainstorm characters, and if you know about brainstorming, or if you don't know, check out my guide to how to plan a novel in my video, in the description down below, and in my channel. When I brainstorm characters, I picture them in my mind, and I, on a piece of paper, state facts. What do I, as the writer, know about them? They look like this. They speak like this. They feel this way about this faction. They did this in the past. They fight like this. This is how they feel about this thing. And then I write questions. How do they feel about this character? How do they end up here? How do they know what they know? What do they want? What are they going to do in this story? And through the act of brainstorming, you either answer those questions or you leave them open for possible plot points through the story. But again, the thing is this, if you're using something, or a character, a setting, whatever it is, from a different project, especially one where you spent a lot of work on, treat them as though they are new. The last thing you want is for you to have an image of a character so clear that you never stop to relay it to the reader anew. Again, think of that clash that I was talking about. The person turned in a piece where they felt the character was portrayed in a particular way because of what they knew, what they had already internalized about the character. But since they didn't make that clear, the people who experienced the story didn't have the context for why they were a particular way. They didn't have the context for why things mattered. It's like giving someone the third book in a 5-book series and expecting them to like care about the main character. Of course they won't care. Of course they won't know the main struggle because they don't have the context. So, as I mentioned, a simple problem with an even simpler solution. If you're considering using characters from a previous project, and if you play pen and paper role-playing games and you're a writer, heaven knows you have brought a couple of those into a story. Don't lie, I know you. I know you. And even as I was just talking about this, I was like, oh yeah, that character was also from an RP that I did a long time ago. That's life, and it's fun. As long as we introduce them as new characters, new people, I think it's completely fine. Now, there is one more thing, and I know I've rambled for way too long, and I'm gonna call it real soon, but there's one thing I want to drop in real quick. I don't want to say there's some morality issue here, whether, about using a character from a different work. I think that if it's your character, you can do whatever you want with them, and especially, if this makes the story more fun for you to write, you have every freedom to do so. As I mentioned before, the first draft is one of the hardest steps in the creation of a completed novel, and if you are not having fun when you are writing, if you're not having fun with the idea of writing this book, it's a really long journey. Think of it as packing enough equipment, packing enough rations, enough gear to make it through that entire journey. Be excited about this project. Commit to this project. Be shamelessly excited about this project. Passion and excitement is a good thing, especially when it comes to the act of creating art. Okay? And I posted this on Twitter, but don't let anyone ever make you feel bad about being excited about what you love, what you do, your craft, your interests. Being excited, having passion, is one of the greatest things you can have. So embrace it, okay? And love your OCs, because heaven knows we love our OCs. Now, for the time being, I want to thank you for tagging along. Please consider checking out the description down below for a bunch of links, like a link to subscribe, a link to my Patreon, a link where you can treat me to a cup of coffee, and book recommendations. What are the books that I think every writer should read? Check the description down below. And now we are entering the end slate proper. Up here, playlist, over 200 writing advice videos. That's crazy. Up here, button to subscribe. Click on my pixel face to tag along. I do these videos 3 times a week, so tag along. Down here, Patreon. Pledge some monies, get cool perks, watch my videos early. And down here, a link to my other channel with my best friend Kitty, where we do Let's Play content, review anime, and we are relatively silly dorks. So, thank you for tagging along, thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me, and I hope you have a lovely day.